listening to the IELTS podcast. Learn from tutors and ex-examiners who are masters of IELTS preparation. Your host, Ben Worthington.
IELTS and Corona. In this episode, we're going to look at, obviously, the coronavirus, COVID-19. We're going to look at what to do if you're in lockdown, what to do if your exam has been postponed, what to do if you've got your exam coming up very soon. The main premise of this tutorial, of this episode, is to get across the idea that to every disadvantage, there is a corresponding advantage. And that's what we're going to be looking at today. Not only are we going to be looking at different situations and different strategies, different ways to overcome these challenges that we've got, but we're going to be also sharing some uplifting stories as well. The first thing I want to mention is that if you have your exam coming up in the next week, in the next 10 days, then this could be the last chance until a few months. Okay, following China, in China, all the exams were cancelled, just complete blanket cancellation, and I think it's slowly getting back to normal situations. So this is what's also happening now across Europe. They're just cancelled until further notice. However, in some countries, in Latin America, for example, there is still an opportunity to take the exam. I have one student, and she said that her exam hasn't been cancelled. It's going to be the next weekend. So I said to her, Mariali, this could be your last chance in a long time. You've got to make this chance count. Okay? You've got to really pull out all the stops. And a lot of you are probably saying, I'm already doing that. That's fantastic. But if you've got any sort of like doubt, or if you've got any thought of, I can just take another test in a month or so, then that option is no longer available. There's been lockdowns for 2 months, usually. I mean, this whole thing started in China in around January. Yep, only now is it starting to go back to a normal situation. And we're in March, near the end of March. So this is why it's very important just to make this last shot count. Well, actually, let's just go into this in a little bit more detail. So you've got to make the most of your final week or your final 10 days. Now, I'll go over this briefly because I've mentioned it a few times already, but it doesn't seem to be sinking in. The first thing you want to be aware of when you are preparing, especially in these kinds of situations, is to make every minute count. Let's dive into it. We're going to plan our preparation. That's fine. If you've got on the list, I want to watch 5 tutorials from the course, that's okay. If you're saying you're going to watch 5 tutorials on YouTube, that's not okay, because if you go into YouTube, you're going to get 5 different tutors, all with different views, and you're going to end up getting confused. And finally, after all of this, you haven't really improved that much. Whereas at least if you're following the 5 tutorials on a single course, on the online course we have, for example, then at least all your information is going to be coherent. It all links together. There's no conflict of advice. There's no conflict of information, no conflict of strategy. It's just all in one place, nicely organized. Now, the second thing, if you are on the online course, you will realize that we have a strong preference for action. And this is because, I've said it before, you cannot learn to ride a bike with a book. You have to get on the bike. And the same is true with languages. So watching YouTube tutorials, just watching any tutorials on a couch with popcorn under a blanket is not going to get you the band 7 or 8 or 9, whatever you're aiming for. You need to get out of that couch, get out of the seat, sit down at a desk and start writing. Now you're asking, what kind of activities could I do? Well, I strongly recommend you work out which activities work well for you. If you're completely confused and you just sit there and you're like, oh, I've got no idea where to start, then a few suggestions. One, you could join us on the online course, and we've got all the steps for you to take. So you do this, then you do that, then you do this, then you do that. Okay? And it is a good mixture of you taking action and us directing it, but you're not just sat there passively. Second, write down activities that you could do, sort of like real action activities. In the online classes we are currently giving out, and if you go to IELTSPodcast.com/schedule, there you'll see the whole timetable, and now I've assigned what I will be teaching in each class. But one of the classes we did was how to come up with ideas, and while you're coming up with ideas, improve your vocabulary or improve your grammar. For example, just basically boost your topic-specific vocabulary, boost your grammar constructions, keep on the lookout for constructions, get new ideas, new opinions, all of this. So while you're in this process, I recommended students to start snatching, or probably better to say, to start acquiring and improving their vocabulary, for getting the resources. So if you've got a question about climate change, then you can just go to Google, put climatechange.ac.uk, and you can find lots of academic reports from university written in academic English. What you can do is go through and just start extracting useful vocabulary, possibly useful ideas, useful grammar constructions, and add it to your file. Yep. And now what do you do with this file, of this list of vocabulary, this list of terms? Well, you can translate it each morning and just start going from English into your native language, and then the next day do it vice versa. Start building your vocabulary in an active way. Reading is okay, it's better than nothing, but if you're actively reading, extracting the terms, and then following up, and make sure that you're repeating them, that you're reviewing them, and that you're not just reading through them, but actively translating them, then you're going to increase your chances. So there's lots of little different tasks that we could do. Maybe another task to improve your speaking is just to find a model answer and copy it, and just start mimicking it. Soon we're going to be putting together a example schedule with different drop-down activities that you can do. So you can basically just fill out the schedule and fill out with the examples of the activities, and now you know exactly what you're going to be doing on Tuesday at 3 p.m. in the afternoon. You sit down, you look at your schedule, and now you are productive from the very minute you start your training, rather than just sitting down and studying for IELTS. Where do I start? What do I do? Anyway, we're getting into too much detail now about preparation. This schedule will be coming out soon, and we'll put it on this tutorial, and we'll put it on, obviously, on the site as well, and in the online course. By the way, for the students who are on the online course, you can get the schedule in the first module of the Jump to Band 7 or its free writing course, the sentence guide course. In the very first module, there is a timetable there showing the classes that will be taught, the time that they will be taught, and what material we will be covering, and also the link you need to join us on those classes. One last thing. Get a routine going. If you are in self-isolation, or if you're in quarantine, if you're in lockdown, then you need to get a routine. Otherwise, the whole day can just slip away. And for most people, doing nothing is more tiring than doing lots of activities. Okay? And I know this from personal experience, and I've asked around, and a lot of people definitely can confirm this. So this is why a routine will definitely help you. A schedule, a study schedule. And then get that routine going. So, for example, as I said before, every morning when you're having your coffee, maybe you're searching for ideas, or you're just reading, but you're copy-pasting vocabulary terms and grammar constructions into your translation bank, and then the next day you're translating it back and forth, or later on in the day, even better, you're translating it. Or maybe flashcards works for you, and you just go and blast through your 50 vocab flashcards. You have to do what works for you and what you enjoy, otherwise it's going to be quite difficult. Also, you'll probably find, because our teachers, they are in lockdown as well, obviously. So you may even find that your essays are coming back even faster. And that reminds me, very soon we'll be launching a special offer for students who are in lockdown. Well, anybody can take advantage of it. We're all in this together. So if you're in lockdown, it's a good opportunity for you to start writing essays. Now then, and the next point I want to talk about is if your exam is cancelled, then my honest advice is just don't throw in the towel. Don't go for another test because that's going to be cancelled soon as well. Yeah. There's no logic in trying to do another test because that one's going to be cancelled. You know, it's not just IELTS that's cancelling them. The IELTS is cancelling them because they know that in that country it's unsafe. So if one test organisation is cancelling them, then the others will be cancelling soon. And if you switch to doing a different type of exam, all this exam knowledge, not all of it, but a good majority of it, is down the drain. It's wasted. You've lost it, you know? So you're going to have to start from zero if you change exams, if you change course now. So why don't you just keep going with the IELTS exam, keep on this course, going back to what I said at the beginning, that to every disadvantage, there is a corresponding advantage. And it's our job, it's our responsibility to find that advantage. As I said before, if you've got your exam coming up, this might be your last chance for a few months. So it really is. The advantage here is an insane amount of motivation to get it right this time. That's the advantage. You've got this insane amount of pressure to get it right. This might be the last chance in a few months. Okay? The advantage to the lockdown for our organisation is that possibly the students are going to get their essays back quicker, which speeds up the whole learning process. So it's up to us to find the advantage that is hidden in every disadvantage. All right. Now, going back to the situation of if your exam is cancelled in a few months, then the advantage here is that you've got more time to prepare. Now, I know what you're going to say about I've got my application to consider in September. I've got my immigration cutoff date in December. I know these situations are very real. I'll come to that in a minute. But now, with every day that passes, so if your exam is postponed for 2 months, now you've got more time to get closer to that band 7. You are more likely, with every day that passes, you are more likely to attain that 7. You're more likely to even possibly get that 7.5, that 8. And you're less likely to lose money in the future by taking more exams. I mean, assuming that you're going to keep studying. You've got nothing else to do if there's, if you're in lockdown. Now, if you've got family around you, I'll give you an example. My brother is going berserk at the moment. Okay, his wife just had twins in December. He's already got a little toddler there, 3 years old, and his business has had to close. He's self-employed, and now he's cooped up in the house with 3 kids, no money coming in, and he's got his wife there as well. She doesn't work, and his wife's mother. It's just an absolute, for me, it's a very, very extremely stressful situation. And I was talking with my sister about it. I know I'm going a bit off topic, but it'll be very brief. I was talking with my sister about it, and because I was a bit annoyed by the messages I was getting, but in this situation, we've got to just take what is going on into consideration. Okay, so a lot of us are going to be having a tough time, especially if there's kids around in the house. I can't offer any advice. This is just not my area. Okay, what I would do though, if it was maybe my kids, is just try and give them to somebody else, give them to my partner for an hour or two, and just say, look, let me study on this. Another idea I was thinking about this morning was possibly even watching English material with them, and together we both learn, although it's passive. I'm not entirely sure. Okay, this isn't my area, but I know that a routine would help. Perhaps waking up before everybody else wakes up to get those 2 golden hours of study time in. I don't know. You'll have to get creative with this. Okay? So at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is that you've got more time to study. You've got more time to learn vocabulary, more time to use that vocabulary. Also, there's probably going to be some teachers available at the moment, so you can, perhaps jump on a call with those, practice your speaking, maybe find other students in similar situations. There's opportunity there, okay? With every major change, there's a big opportunity. It's up to us to find it. Now, final message, just to say what's going on around the world. In China, there were badges being given out so that if you regularly cough, you could put a badge on yourself that says, okay, I've got asthma or I've got bronchitis or whatever. Don't worry, it's not corona. In India, one of our students was telling us about that they went into lockdown. It's called Janta Karifu. At 5 p.m., everybody was ringing bells and clapping just to appreciate all the workers who are helping to solve this situation. For example, the workers in medicine, in the cleaning services. So we're all in this together, and we're going to help each other get through this. And one of the ways we're going to help here at IELTS Podcast is we're going to extend access for all the students who are on the online course at the moment. And also we are going to extend access for all the students who are going to purchase. So if you buy your course or if you're on the course already, then we're going to extend it till December. And by December, I'm pretty certain most of us will be out of this. Okay? So I think, in times like this, we've just got to really stick together. We've got to possibly help each other with how we're going to get through this. In fact, it might be a good idea to launch a forum where we can just start helping each other and sharing resources. So, we're probably going to be producing more podcasts related to Corona. Keep tuned. And by the way, it's a good time to switch your media. Be careful with the media. Just one last thing. I know that I was going to suggest that it's a good time to switch it, to start learning about all this useful vocabulary in English. But just be careful with American news sources. I was watching that and I thought it was going to be an apocalypse. It was just incredible. The hype, the drama, everything. So just be careful which media sources you're consuming. I'd probably go for English ones, of course, but just take it all with a pinch of salt. Stay calm and just keep your head and just try find that advantage that lies in every disadvantage. Okay? Just a trick to just try and find the lemon that's in lemonade. Or no, that's not the best analogy. Just to try and find the best of the situation or the advantage that is possibly lying there. It's just a way of changing your viewpoint. Right, my name is Ben, and if you're having a real tough time with this, contact us and we might be able to help you out with some essay corrections. Just tell us your situation. And also remember, we've got the online course. The access has been extended now till December, so if you buy it, you've got lots of time to work through it, to consume the material, to put it into action. And let's stick together and we'll get through this. All the best.
Thanks for listening to IELTSPodcast.com.